This video was sponsored by Enhance, Neowatt, A Better Road Planner, Elbilmek, Kempower and Bilkomponenter. Yo, what's up? We're a little bit north of Bangkok right now and we are getting ready for a 500 kilometer challenge in an MG ZS EV from 2019. This car has 12% degradation and only 37 out of 42 kilowatt hour net capacity left. So I want to know, how fast can we do it in Thailand? It is actually a disadvantage doing it in Thailand because we have freaking stoplights on the motorway here and lots of right lane huggers. However, it is nice and warm here, so that is an advantage. But can we beat the classic Ioniq? I highly doubt it. Even though it has smaller battery, it charges way faster and is way more efficient. But if I can just do it in around 7 hours and match maybe the classic Soul and the i3, then I'll be happy. So the route I'll be taking is from here until around Lampang, and that will be 500. I have to drive a little bit past the BET station and turn around, I think. We'll see what I do. So I'm now topping it back up to 100%. It might take, I don't know, half an hour or something. We'll see, it's evening now, so I'll start right around 9 in the evening. So hopefully it won't be too much traffic. And for the past 2 days, I've been doing this marathon driving. So in order to stay awake, I need to buy M150. How's this? Kind of tastes like hostesaft. Oh shit! But it's actually good. Yeah. Okay, here's the deal. To my left, I have an Atto 3. To my right, I have a Neta, and the Neta is not charging. But most likely, the Neta booked the 21 slot. So now it's 2043. It will cut the power at 2057. But hopefully by then I will have a high enough state of charge that I can move over to the AC. So fortunately this charging station has an AC, but I think this car does not support 11 kilowatt 3-phase. That is probably 22 kilowatts. But as long as I can get around 6 kilowatt, then that should be good enough. Or I just ditch it. As long as I have 99%, maybe that's good enough. It doesn't have to be 100%. What the heck, man? At 90%, we're taking only 5.4 kilowatt. Huh? Is it really that slow? Wait, what if I switch over to AC? Will it charge faster? Plus that, now that I'm charging so slow, then it's kind of waste of resource for me to take up what is potentially 60 kilowatt, or actually maximum speed for the Neta. So I'll probably give the plug over to the Neta. And then the charge port on the Neta is on that side, so I don't have to move the car. We just plug and yeah. Man, I get this shit again. So the Neta guy, he plugged in the DC, I plug in on AC, and then you're supposed to scan this QR code. I try it now. Start charging. Unable to connect. What the heck is this shit, man? Oh, I'm still at 90%. It's still kind of low. I already gave up my plug, man. This was more or less pointless. I could wait until the Atto 3 finishes. The Atto 3 is at, I saw it was at around 80%. Well, they could restart the charger, but you don't want to do that with a bunch of other people charging. So I experienced this before. You can call the call center, and then, because supposedly this emergency stop doesn't stop the charger. It will just do some other weird stuff. Okay, slightly delayed then. Okay, talk to the guy with the Atto 3. He's FC. Seems like he's going for 100%. Fortunately, the Atto 3 charges quite fast. No, 100%. Look at that. My MG is only at 5 kilowatt, but then the Atto 3 is hammering in 33 kilowatt, which means that in just a couple of minutes, it should finish to 100%. This is also what I experienced before when I borrowed it. Oh yeah, we're charging now, getting 15 kilowatt. What the heck was that all about? Was it a glitch that I got 5.4 kilowatt earlier, or did the cooldown allow the battery to charge faster now? It's watching it, but yes, hopefully now we can finish to 100% before the next guy comes and then books the charger. I haven't booked it. Yeah, I should ABC always book charger. So the next possible slot, well, you can actually see it here if you go into okay, there. And then it's kind of clumsy. You have to wait until it loads here, and then you go to this location there, view more. And then on this side here, yeah, so no one booked the 21:30 slot for now. Oh shit, it was just a initial boost. We are back to 5.7 kilowatt. Wait, I wonder if it was charging faster before, that we at least would get over 10, 15 kilowatt. So maybe the battery has degraded, so it doesn't allow it doesn't allow that old nice charging speed anymore. Shit, this is gonna take a while. All right, we are about to finish soon, 99%. Well, oh, there you go, look. Okay, starting time, 21:30. Oh, we're on the move. And over here, we can cruise 120 kilometers per hour. So yeah, there's probably no laser control at night, but I still want to cruise at that speed. So even though the car becomes kind of thirsty at high speed, it still pays off because it charges relatively fast versus how fast it's discharging now. And then, no, what the heck? Yeah, it is supposed to be 29 degrees outside, so that is of course an advantage. And unfortunately in Thailand we have many of these stoplights right in the middle of the autobahn, and some of these could take actually several minutes. And not only that, but if you get stuck behind a bunch of cars, that could also delay you further. So a stoplight like this could actually delay, let's say 2-3 minutes total. Fortunately, I'm front now. First journey stop, we're actually peaking at 60 kilowatt. Wow, well, let me see here. 61 kilowatt. So if we go deep, you can actually get some proper speeds, but this is only at the very beginning. And then it goes slower and slower. So seems like, yeah, ideally want to go real deep. I went to 8%. It's kind of risky to go deeper. Yeah, well, it's probably good enough. All right, 11 now, but let me see. So if I look here, the trip meter, yeah, we managed to travel almost 150 kilometers. That means only 350 left. But from now on, we need to charge to only around 65% and then drive only, let's say 70 to 90 kilometers between each charge. Okay, not much to do here at night. Most stuff is closed. It doesn't matter too much because I'm still kind of full after that noodle. So yeah, I tend to stop at PTT station because they have the most amenities. And also they have the most charging locations, which actually matters. And it becomes no big disadvantage at night because they are mostly available. So the PTT stations with the chargers, they are usually only around 10, 20, maybe 30 kilometers apart, whereas the other CPOs could be 50 kilometers between them. So I try to time it so that I go as deep as possible without going, too deep. And yeah, I don't know. I haven't tried to go to like 1% or 2%, so that's kind of risky with an old car with a small battery. Right now it goes kind of slow, only 34 kilowatt, and it will just keep going slower and slower. I calculated I need to spend 55% battery in order to drive 97 kilometers, and the next is also a PTT station. Tried to check for other CPOs, but that was just the best match. So yeah, we've been charging for 24 minutes soon, so oh shit, it seems like it's going to be almost half an hour stops then. Man, the problem driving at night is that we have the damn truck mafia hugging the right lane, and they go so slow, 60 to 70 kilometers per hour only. So I had to drive slalom between these guys. Another stoplight. Yeah, all these stoplights could actually delay us by as much as 20-30 minutes. Second charging stop. I expected to arrive with 10%, but I spent slightly more than that, or maybe could be because the state of charge scale is non-linear. So this is why I want 10% margin. So 60 kilowatt again. Alles gut. Another PTT station. Yeah, but the next station is going to be I think it's Bangcha, and as far as I know, there's nothing there, especially at night. So then I have to go to 7-Eleven and grab some food. So it's all about planning here in case I get really hungry and end up in no man's land. Well, that was a rare case. 7-Eleven, they actually closed the door and they told me that the paying machine, or the counter rather, is kaput, so they have to wait half an hour. So no vending until in half an hour. Well, in half an hour I'm gone. UN. Oh, look at that. Lots of geckos there. They're probably eating mosquitoes and other insects. And then the one gecko is also on the screen. You know, the Ioniq screen, well, that's in Europe. You can stop the charging session by pressing, don't remember, it was on a touch screen. But what if a gecko accidentally presses on the touch screen there to stop charging? Would that even work? We have some problems here. This time we might need to deduct something. I tried to scan the QR code. It just claims, please scan valid QR code. It is the valid QR code. This is just for the app. It won't have. I tried different connectors, A, B, whatever. It's supposed to have 24/7 support. Well, let's call them then. Hi, สวัสดีครับ ผมจะ start chat แล้วมันบอกว่าQR code มัน invalid นะครับ
ลูกค้าอยู่ที่สถานีอะไรครับ
มันเป็นสถานีที่มันอยู่ BCP ScanMyTesla Service Company Limited 0139 นะครับ
0139 ลูกค้าเสียบหัวชาร์จอยู่กับตัวรถไหมครับ
โอเคเดี๋ยวจะลองนะลอง
เดี๋ยวผมรบกวนลูกค้าเสียบสายชาร์จเข้ากับตัวรถนะครับก็อย่าเพิ่งสแกนนะครับ
โอเคตอนนี้เสียบแล้วครับโอเค
ที่ตู้ชาร์จมีขึ้นข้อความ connect นะครับ
อ๋อใช่ขึ้นมา connect นะครับโอเคตอนนี้เริ่มชาร์จนะครับ Well it works yeah and actually somehow I don't know how that happened but I'm charging on my account he somehow started it because he claimed that the Wi-Fi here it was offline or something okay, so at least we're charging now, but we lost 10 minutes, so that's the first deduction for today. All right, all good. Wait, how many kilowatt? I think. Okay, it's full speed, 150. Yeah, that's 61 kilowatt. Wow. And I love the Spark EV charging because first of all, they have 24/7 support. I was stuck here with 5%, and I checked if I kept going forward, it's 17 kilometers until the PDT station. But that would be cutting it really close, or I mean, I'm not sure if I can even make it there. Maybe if I hypermile over there, or I could U-turn and go back to Tak, which is kind of clumsy. So it's very important that they have 24/7 support in case something like this happens. Of course, if the charger was more stable, we wouldn't need them, but okay, whatever. And another reason why I like the Spark charger is that these are 180 kilowatt, the hardware they use, 180 kilowatt chargers, and the cables are 400 amp rated. I asked Ralph about this, and I've also been getting close to 400 amp on the Leapmotor B10. For example, PDT charger or the EV Station Plus, they're only 120 kilowatt versus 180 kilowatt here, and 200 amp limited. Or the newer Star Charge that they have on the EV Hub, they are 180 kilowatt, but 300 amp limited. Nowadays, many cars, especially 400 volt cars, they need more than 300 amp to get full speed. And actually even the 800 volt cars will be, some of them might also utilize more amps. So, and then of course, Spark, they also use the Huawei chargers. So yeah, Spark, man. Thumbs up to Spark. I've been charging to around 60-65% in the past, but now it's colder outside and consumption is significantly higher. So this time, I cannot find anything that is around 80-85 kilometers away. So it's either 60 something or 100 something. So I think I will go only 65 kilometers to a PDT station. So we could make it with just one more charging stop, but I want to split it and have two shorter charging stops. That means actually leaving in not too long. Wow, there's a lot of Baustelle on this stretch. I think we need to deduct a couple of minutes to be fair. We're back at Tøyen, charging. Yeah, just like always, over 60 kilowatt. But wait, I see something over there. Ding! That is noodle shop. It might be open now, 3 at night. Okay, unfortunately, they are closed. Yeah, I've eaten here before. Maybe next time then. This is it, the last charging stop. We need to drive around 60 more kilometers. And then, okay, total deduction, we have the charger problem, 10 minutes, and then 5 minutes of Baustelle. We started at 21:30, so it's like counting 2 hours and 15 minutes before midnight, or plus the current time. So see, we're about to hit 6 hours. So we're not gonna beat the classic Ioniq, but can we at least do it within 7 hours? We will see. We will see now. One more stop. Okay, the final run. 446 kilometers now. Almost 500. A little bit more. And then we'll be done. Oh man, it's 4 at night now. And it's cold outside, 19 degrees Celsius. Fortunately, not too much traffic yet. All right, let's do the countdown. 4990, 4991, 4992, 4993, 4994, 4995, 4996, 4997, 4998, 4999, 500 time 428. That means the 6 hours and 45 minutes. Wow, impressive. So 6:45 is actually on the 3rd place. Yeah, I think the reason why the i3 beat it was because in Norway you can drive faster and there are no stoplights. And then actually the i3 has a nice and flat charging curve. Well, I mean, it's still pretty good, you know, for a car that has degraded in Thailand and driving in Thailand, which in general is slower than driving across Europe, Norway, Sweden. So yeah, maybe if I had the opportunity, I should try to borrow same set as EV in Norway, also measure the degradation and then do the 500 kilometer challenge there. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, huh? Are you guys up for it? Anyway, I think that's gonna be it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, thank you for watching and talk to you later.